So welcome to the latest podcast of Meaning Business with the guys from Benchmark, Bruce Coudray and Peter Spindler. G'day, Peter.
Thanks, Bruce.
Welcome.
Good to have another chat.
So we're talking about something a little different today, which is what we've noticed is what helps people in business to be so successful, or sometimes what it is that creates lack of success. And what all the people that we've seen that are successful in life and particularly business, where that comes from and how that grows and what we've noticed. So I think, once you have this awareness, it's going to drive you to improve the way you do things.
It's an absolute game changer. And it's one of those things when often people look for this magic bullet when it comes to success. And in fact, there is a magic bullet to success. And this is part of that magic bullet.
Exactly.
So do we want to say what it is?
Not yet. No, let's leave people waiting because, and I'd really love for people to think about whether they agree with us or not and comment. And if you don't agree and you think it's something else, we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely.
Because when I started in business, I thought it was hard work that would create success. And, there's no denying that you've got to work. And whether it's hard work or not, I don't know, but definitely got to work. But I don't think that's the secret.
So you're telling me that being too busy isn't the right thing?
Well,
busyness. And
yeah,
because
successful people are busy.
Isn't it? Well, they're busy.
Yeah.
But do they need to be so busy? And are truly successful people really that busy?
Well, it's a weird that we're getting off the topic here, but let's talk about it because in my experience, a lot of people say you got to work on the business side in the business, and I agree with that. But the most successful people I've ever met are up to their eyes in the business. And they're probably control freaks. They probably can't let go, and they should. But, having been completely divorced and letting the business run itself is probably not going to be a key in future performance and success, for sure, in my opinion. So you can't just let the thing run itself. Even a listed company or, something with a guaranteed revenue stream, you still got to manage it. You still got to be eyes on. But I think what we're talking about today is more relevant than hard work, more relevant than whether you're, in the business or not. But we'll just talk about this busy thing for a second. So I reckon busy people get stuff done. There's nothing wrong with being busy if you like that.
That's
If you don't want to be busy, that's fine too. That's your choice.
And there's actually two sides to it. So you've got good busy and you've got bad busy.
Yeah.
Good busy that's productive and you're actually achieving things. And sometimes you've got to be busy doing things that don't feel like they're productive, but as long as they're moving you forward to wherever you want to go with it. But then there's that unproductive busyness where sometimes we use busyness to hide away from things that we don't want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and here's an interesting word, because we're not confident in what we're doing, because we don't have the skills, the experience, and we might have had bad experiences with that particular thing.
Yeah.
As a result, we just go back to what we're used to doing because that's our comfort zone.
Exactly. And, it's not just in business, but in life, some people say, I'm too busy to clean the house, I'll get a cleaner. I'm too busy to do menial tasks. They're not really busy, they're faking busy.
That's right.
Many people say, I'm too busy to go to that wedding or that social event. They're not really.
It's just a choice.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
Not a priority.
That's right. But, in life, there's things that are either urgent or important. And disorganised people are always doing the urgent and the important doesn't get done. Organised people have the important stuff done. So when urgent things come along, they can just calmly put that fire out and move on.
Exactly.
So I do see busy people criticised for being too busy or being disorganised, but quite often the people doing the criticising don't understand that person just has a lot to do. And I think
and that's actually, if I look at my life, I'm busy.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, when I usually say to people, if they ask me, how's your day? It's busy. And I don't like saying it because there is that, unfortunately, negative connotation. They say,
is there?
Busy might mean that you're not organised, you're sort of scattered. But you know what? I've made that choice because I like to fill my days. I like to fill my life with
Nothing wrong with that.
things. And the busyness is a culmination of busy with kids, busy with study, busy with work, busy with training.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that.
Feel it. You're living.
I live. That's it. Busyness drives my life.
So the alternative to that is to sit on the couch, watch TV, and eat.
That's right.
And that's not living.
To me, that is like the worst situation. Now, yes, we need moments of non-busyness. So we've got to be able to calm ourselves down, calm the brain.
Yeah, for sure.
But there are moments in time that we choose as opposed to our life being a life of non-busyness, a life of laziness, a life of sitting back.
Well, yeah. So this takes me to this thing I always think about with business. You're either growing, stagnating, or dying. And it's the same in life. Forget business. If you want to live life to the full, you're growing.
That's right.
You're spending the waking hours of your day maximizing everything that you do. And that's living. Otherwise, you're stagnating or dying. So it's the same in business. You should be going at it, boots and all, doing everything you can. And in my view, being busy. Now, some people don't want to do that. That's fine.
That's up to them.
They're probably stagnating.
but we're not. And this whole Meaning Business series, in all honesty, is for those that want to achieve, that want to do more in their life, more in their business.
Yeah.
Because those individuals that just want a business that gives them an income and nothing more, they're just in a self-employed position.
Yeah.
Just in a job. And that's perfectly fine. Not everyone is suited to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to achieve.
That's right.
But you know what? We're here to talk to those individuals that truly want to make a difference. Achieve more.
Exactly. And be the best and get the most out of it. That's right. And there's something exhilarating about being the best and knowing that you're doing a great job, or knowing that if I stick to this plan, I'm going to achieve these outcomes, and then delivering that. Oh God, that's exciting.
So that's the key drive that we want to talk about today.
Yes, it is.
The drive that has allowed, for example, the author of Harry Potter to go out there and achieve what she did. When she wrote that book, she was a poor mum of, I don't know, 1 or 2 kids, however many kids, lived in a small unit, and she tried for a long time to get that book published. Everyone closed the doors. But you know what? She knew what she had. She knew she had the confidence to get out there and continue and pursue. And eventually a little publisher picked it up. And we know the rest is history.
Yeah.
Now, Thomas Edison, the so-called inventor of the light bulb, he went through a similar process, 100, 200 years prior to that. And in fact, there's a saying that when Thomas Edison is asked about failure, he basically says that, well, no, I haven't failed. I've just learned 10,000 different ways of making a mistake. But he doesn't look at a failure as being a failure. He looks at it as a learning opportunity. And why? Because he had the confidence. He had the confidence knowing that he's onto something. He had that strong confidence that drove him to continue. Yeah. He didn't give up after, 10 mistakes. Yeah. He's like, okay, that's another way of not doing it. And that's the same thing in business. Now, in business, there is no such thing as that overnight success. Most of the time, when you hear about these big successful entrepreneurs, whether it's an Elon Musk, whether it's a Bezos, a Zuckerberg, all of these individuals have failed at one point in time. And you'll hear my name eventually one day. But the point is that it's the failures that teach you the lessons if you're willing to listen to those lessons.
Yes.
But in order to go through that process, you've got to have that confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
That, you know what, I could do this.
And there's so many stories, and even people listening to this might have it in their own life, Colonel Sanders, starts his business at 63 years old, I think. Realised that actually that his whole life had been a fail, and it was because he had no confidence, which is what we want to talk about today. Yeah. And he confidently thought, well, I've got life short. What have I got to lose? I'm going to hit this thing. And KFC's a household name today.
It's an interesting thing. So there's this. So confidence is a big paradox. So we know that we need confidence for success, and so we know it's a proven fact that if you don't have the confidence, your chance of success in business, for example, if in this case, is very, very low. Because you need the confidence to drive you through the tough times, because it can be quite rough at times.
Yeah.
However, it's like if you imagine a bell curve. Now, it's not a typical bell curve, but if you imagine you have on your y-axis success, on your x-axis you have confidence, you will get to a point where you reach optimal confidence in the situation. So when you reach that, that's your greatest chance for success in doing anything, whether it's business, whether it's whatever, sporting event or whatever.
Yeah.
But the paradox is that once you go beyond that and you go beyond that optimal confidence, you actually have overconfidence. And overconfidence is one of the key drivers of failure. So while underconfidence is a driver of failure and overconfidence is a driver of failure, we've got to meet in the middle and find that optimal point where you use your confidence to drive forward, but you're not so overconfident that ego blocks you from taking advice. Ego blocks you from recognizing that, okay, I made a mistake. I need to learn. I need to do things. I need to call in new people, whatever it might be.
Pull it in a bit.
That's right. It's such a fine balancing act.
I hadn't thought about that. That's exactly right. And sometimes failures pull you back. But what I learned about confidence, it was like a massive revelation for me, was with my kids, right? And that changed my life. So I thought when my kids were in school that I wanted to give them the best education that I could. In fact, I thought to myself at the time, so to my wife, that more important than paying our mortgage or anything else was our kids in education. So I prioritised that above all other things. And when we went to the school, there was this great headmaster, and he said, our philosophy is we want our kids, the students here, to be balanced and be excellent in 3 areas: sport, academic, cultural. Not just academia, not just sport, not just cultural activities, but to be good at everything. So I took my kids through school thinking that was important, getting A's and, success. That was success, but it wasn't. I realised in hindsight that it didn't matter whether they got an A or a B or how good they were. What mattered was confidence.
Right.
If they were a confident swimmer, a confident speaker, a confident with maths, confident writer, confident with history or engineering or computing, that's what mattered. It wasn't how excellent they were, it was just how confident they were to do things without being hesitant or nervous. That's what mattered.
It's so powerful, and you've hit it on the head. The schooling system, and we can talk about this for a long time, but schooling system is very, very flawed. Education is great. I'm still at university, and I'm a big believer in education. But what school doesn't do is it doesn't build the mental confidence, the resilience, the psychological component that you need to be successful as an adult. Yeah. Yes, you can be a top performing student. You can get straight A's. But that does not mean you'll be successful post-school. It doesn't mean that you're going to
You're not prepared for the world.
And prepared for the world. And in our case, like with the kids, for example, we actually have, we're putting them through one-on-one psychology sessions with trained psychologists to teach them mental resilience, to teach them how to think in a way that, boosts their confidence so that they're not only capable at school and academic, but they can go beyond that, and they have the resilience that when shit happens in life, and it does, you can get up,
get over it,
and you can move forward.
So confidence is a weird thing. You can have it, you can lose it, you can get it back. But we measure in schools academic. We measure performance, by that metric. We don't measure confidence. And it's the same in business. We don't measure how good a business is by how confident the owner is or where their confidence comes from, which we'll talk about. But we measure in terms of revenue and profit, and that's not the right measure necessarily.
That's one of the biggest issues in the world of business advice, in the advisory world, right? And I'm not taking a dig at accountants or taking a dig at traditional management consultants or advisors, but too often it's the numbers that people look at. They look at the metrics. They say, okay, what does your P&L look like? What does your balance sheet, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all critical. We've got to have that. We've got to understand the numbers in the business.
That's a metric.
But here's the thing. If the business owner doesn't have the confidence, if the business owner is losing their confidence and they're demonstrating a pattern of behavior that over a period of time, they're actually hitting walls and they're bringing themselves down, the business will come down as a result. So you could have great numbers at a point in time, but if they're not adjusted, if they're not matched rather by the right behaviors, by the right attitude, long term, it's not sustainable.
Exactly. It's like, one measure of human fitness is your weight or your BMI. But there's so many other things that we don't measure, and it's the same with business. And if we were to measure confidence and enthusiasm, it would align with successful businesses and businesses that are growing and going somewhere, and businesses that are failing.
100%.
And this brings me back to that thing about growing, stagnating, dying, right? So a lot of people get into business and they're confident and they believe that what they're going to do is going to work. And they hit it hard and they work the hours and they do what they need to do. And they'll invest the money in the equipment or the marketing or the staff, the training, and they'll grow that business and it'll be successful. But eventually, either they become really successful and they become lazy at one end of the spectrum, or at the other spectrum, they're getting beaten up because it's not working and they're not winning and they're losing and they're money, not making any money, that metric that we measure. So in either space, confidence or enthusiasm starts to wane and they get comfortable and they get into that stagnation zone, I call it. So people need to do is think about where they're at and realize, am I losing that enthusiasm? Where has that gone? And if you're comfortable, maybe you're too comfortable. And if you're losing money, how can you get that back? And you get that back, in my opinion, by having a business plan and having a reason, a purpose. And once you create that vision, purpose, reason, and something we'll talk about in a minute, you create belief in yourself that this is what we got to do to make it work. You get the confidence, you got direction, you have vision, people follow you, you know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Absolutely.
The business goes forward.
Absolutely. So an example that I can give you and anyone watching and listening this is two clients that I work with over a period of few months to a couple of years. Both gentlemen inherited their wealth and their business from their father. So in case number one, the individual inherited about $100 million worth of assets, including business and properties and things like that. Business was very profitable, very successful. That individual, however, himself had this entrepreneurial drive. He just wasn't satisfied with the status quo. And in fact, he was looking forward to the transition. Unfortunately, the father passed and that's how he inherited it. But he was looking forward to the inheritance because finally he was able to change the way things had been done for so many years prior. And it was a generational business. And as a result, the business really did move forward in leaps and bounds, and it grew bigger. And, it's just such an exciting story. And when you talk to this individual, such a down-to-earth but super confident person, and he had a vision and a purpose. Now, the other gentleman, he inherited about $50 million worth of business assets and things like that. He was so lazy because he had everything. They were sponsoring a race team, and he had the sports cars, and he had the beautiful homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as a result, you could just see that he didn't have the confidence in actually managing the business because he just didn't know what to do with it all. Dad wasn't there to tell him what to do. Dad wasn't there to give him the vision and the drive. Yes, he had all these fancy things and all the nice things, but he was actually lost. And as a result, that business was going backwards. And you could see it. You could see it in the numbers. You could see it not just in the numbers, but you walked into the retail premise and things were falling apart and the furniture. And it was just stale and stagnating, and people just didn't want to be there.
Such a shame, because the people who've created that legacy are just seeing it eroded and dying.
And he had fake confidence. So the gentleman in question, if you met him, saw him, he had the bravado and he had everything. But one-on-one, when we closed that door, that disappeared. And the conversations with him that I had weren't that of a bravado, of an exuberant entrepreneur, but in fact, he just was lost. He didn't know what to do. And that was the guidance that he needed. So confidence is such a powerful tool, and
we've got to have it.
Used the right way.
If you're in business or life and you're not confident, then we got to get it. That's what I'm saying about kids at school. You know, if you get a kid who comes out of school, he's not a confident reader or a confident swimmer, that needs to be corrected. Can't go through life not wanting to swim or read or something.
That's right. But there's another paradox in confidence. So here, and this is what it is. One of the key influences of confidence is experience. So negative, positive experience influences in certain ways. Now, that certain way depends on how you interpret that situation. So take a school kid, right? School kid goes and my kids love soccer. They might go play soccer. They don't do well. So they think to themselves, I suck at soccer. Therefore, I will have low confidence because I've told myself I suck at it. Therefore, I'm not going to try as hard. Therefore, I'm going to give up and I'm not going to become a soccer player. So that's one trajectory. The other path is they don't have a good experience with soccer and they realize that the reason they didn't do well is because, you know what, I've only been playing soccer for 2 months. I can't become a superstar Ronaldo in 2 months.
No,
I need to put in the effort. I need to put in the hard yards. As a result of that, they go off, they realize they practice by themselves, and therefore they're on trajectory, potentially becoming a Ronaldo.
Yep.
Because you know what? They train when no one's looking, willing to put in the effort because they have the confidence internally. So that's why it's a paradox.
But I think that I've observed that whilst confidence is critical, confidence comes from somewhere else. And it's actually that other thing that gives you the confidence that we need to focus on, which is belief. So I don't know if many people have watched that TV show, Ted Lasso, the Netflix series. It's fantastic. It'll suck you in. First series good, second not so good, third's great. But it starts off with Ted Lasso coming into he's a coach, and he puts this word believe on the wall. And belief is what underpins and gives confidence. If you don't believe that what you're doing is working, you won't be confident.
That's right.
If you don't believe that it's worthwhile, you won't be confident. If you don't believe that you can do it, you won't be confident. So we need to think about belief. And sport is a great analogy. You just mentioned the kids with soccer. Analogy, metaphor, example. Sport is a great example because I watched a football game the other night. So Melbourne Storm are playing a rugby league game, the New Zealand Warriors. Storm are losing. There's a minute to go. And you could feel the Storm had never given up. They believed that they could win that game. They believed it's not over till the final bell goes, the whistle. And they had the confidence in each other and their match plan, their game plan. They're going to win. So there's 20 seconds to go. They pass the ball out to the winger. He gets the ball. He jumps up in the air. He's outside the field, puts the ball down just as the final siren goes to win the game. You can't do that unless you absolutely believe what you're doing. And that belief, that strong belief, as Ted Lasso put on the wall, gives you the confidence.
That's right.
The confidence to do it, to do this outrageous thing, like jump out in the air over the side of the field and put the ball down, wins you the game.
Because they could have made that choice of, you know what, there's only 2 minutes left. There's only a minute left. What's the point in pushing harder?
Yeah.
But they believed.
Yes. And on the other side, the Warriors, who lost that game, believed deep down, and I'm going to give you another example in sport, believed deep down, oh God, here we go. The Storm, they can win this game. They do it all the time. We're on the back foot. Can we stop? They didn't have confidence. They didn't have the confidence that said, no, we're not going to let these guys in. And they let those guys, their belief outweighed the other guy. The Melbourne Storm's belief outweighed this Warriors belief.
I wouldn't be surprised if right at the beginning of the game or when the fixture was set and they found out we're playing that team, I would not be surprised if some of those players or many of those players internally thought, shit, they're better than us. And all of a sudden, that confidence is just, that's gone.
Oh, they start thinking,
that.
Oh, watch out for him. He's great, you know. And there's been this amazing, I don't know if you know about the State of Origin series between New South Wales and Queensland, but since day one, Queensland have had this unbelievable confidence and belief that even if they're down by 30 points, they're not going to lose. And they've won so many matches with, players injured and half the team gone and what incredible adverse circumstances. So it all comes back to that belief, I believe. And you really need to believe in what it is you're doing. And you really need to believe that I'm the best or this is the best way to do it. And it is your experiences, as you said before, that give you that belief and underpin, your plans. And so you strongly have to believe what you're doing, and then that's where the confidence comes from. So basically, if you don't believe it, you shouldn't do it.
Shouldn't do it. That's right.
You must believe that what you're doing is good or right or valid.
That's right.
Has a purpose. It's going to get the result.
Belief's an interesting discussion because for some individuals, the unwavering belief works. I'm not going to listen to anybody because I know this is the right way to do it. And some people can pull that off, and in certain circumstances, that's exactly what you need. But for a lot of cases, a lot of individuals, we've got to make sure that despite our belief system, we've got to be willing to watch out for other things because sometimes our beliefs are biased, sometimes our beliefs have flaws in them, sometimes the environment changes and we think, okay, well, that's no longer a reality.
So they beliefs founded on the wrong facts. Yep.
That's exactly right. But if we take someone like Elon Musk, and there's a famous interview going back quite a few years where he started crying in the interview because I can't remember the exact person. We'll find out and put in the comment section. But one of the famous astronauts didn't support what he was doing with SpaceX and made it publicly known. And Musk looked up to that astronaut and he broke down crying.
Wow.
He said, there's my idol.
Yeah.
Believing in what I'm doing. And I'm believing it so much myself. And Musk is such an extraordinary person because he's got so much belief in what he does that regardless of what happens, he's just really,
he's just got that confidence.
But if you look at what he's achieved, you go, well, it's that belief. He's got this internal driver about saving humanity, etc. And he's on a mission, and he's proving people wrong and proving them right.
Yeah,
it's extraordinary.
So you countered this a little while ago by pointing out something I hadn't actually thought of, which is overconfidence, right? That thing. And belief. So you can believe something and you might totally be 100% committed to that belief and confident that it's right, and you go out and it doesn't work.
That's right.
And that's where you can lose confidence and fail, or you can say, like Edison did, I've just found another way that doesn't work. I've got to change my beliefs.
That's right.
And get confident and go again.
It's such a, and it's such a, I guess, fine balance between overconfidence, failing, and then getting into the depression, anxiety side of things, and imposter syndrome kicking in.
Yeah.
Versus becoming an Edison where you sort of pick yourself up and continue, and you actually don't fall apart.
Yeah.
And look, I've made a video a little while back about my personal journey with depression and anxiety, and the reality is we all go through it. It's just to different extents and different levels. And in my case, a particular moment in life led me to think that, okay, I'm not good at what I'm doing. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Who am I? What's given me the right to say the things that I say, or to start the businesses that I started, etc. And so this imposter syndrome was really, really significant in my life for a period of time. But then I realized that, hang on a second, I need to look at it a different way. I need to look at it like Edison, and I need to go, okay, you know what? Made mistakes, but they're lessons that you learn from, and this is how we move forward in order to become better people.
Yeah.
And that's driven a different confidence in myself. And now I don't have those issues anymore, and my confidence is very high, but I call it that optimal confidence where I know when I need to shut up and go, you know what? You're right, Bruce, or you're right, whoever I'm talking to. I need to take that feedback on board.
So the learning is that you believe strongly in what you decided you're going to do. That creates confidence. You go forward. If it's not you're not overconfident, optimal confidence. If it's not working, you got to change your beliefs, become confident that this new belief is the right way to go, and go down that path. But if we don't do that, we're not living. If we don't do that, we're not growing. We're stagnating or dying.
That's exactly right.
We need to keep checking our beliefs, getting confident this is the right path, and
you got to keep
on 100%.
Challenging yourself. You've got to keep, and part of the influences is that you've got to keep learning. Never ever stop learning,
Absolutely.
whatever it might be.
Well, things don't stay the same, Environment changes, circumstances change, technology changes, the world changes, opinions change, taste changes. We need to be able to, when I was a kid, the most exotic restaurant was a Chinese restaurant. If I stuck with that, they'd probably do okay. But you got to change with the times and keep moving forward. Maybe that's a bad example, but fashion, if I keep wearing the same stuff I was wearing in the 60s, I'd probably...
The restaurant scene is actually really interesting, the food scene, because a few years back, if we go back, say, 20 years ago, there is no way in the world a vegan restaurant, a vegetarian restaurant could have become restaurant of the world, the best restaurant in the world. And guess what? A few years back, there was a top chef, I think it was in New York, or certainly in the US, he decided, right, I'm going to cut all meat out of off the menu. And people thought he was crazy. He was a multi-hatted chef, whatever. And guess what? He pulled it off. He had the confidence and the belief in what he was doing.
Yes, exactly.
Now, the other part...
Sometimes the belief is so strong that you'll go against the trend and you'll create a new trend. I mean, the guys who started Uber or Airbnb or wherever, Elon Musk, Tesla, and all the other things that have been innovative in our recent history are going against the trend, but they believe that this is the new way forward, and they take it and they prove us right.
Absolutely. And the key thing that all of them do the same is that they have the beliefs. The beliefs are built around the right plan, so they know where they want to go. They know what they want to achieve. They're not just throwing it out to the wind and hoping for things. Hope is definitely not a strategy. They all control the process. So in business, how do we control it? We have plans, we have visions, we have strategies, we implement things. But we don't just implement things willy-nilly. We do it in a way that we're measuring, we're monitoring, we're looking at what the market is responding and adjusting accordingly.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely critical. So we know our path. Like I know in Benchmark Business Advisory, I know exactly where we're going to go or what we're going to achieve. I know that the path is going to be up and down and zigzag, but that's fine because that's the natural way to do it. But we've got a plan.
Yeah.
And we're confident in what we're doing.
And the belief is that if we help enough people with their business, you'll get the result you want.
Absolutely.
But the thing, so just back to something you just said a second ago about measuring KPIs, if you like. That's where you get your beliefs from. And you've got to get all the data you can, create your belief, get confident, supremely confident, and go and do it.
Yep.
But keep measuring and testing so that you make sure your beliefs are well-founded.
That's right. Absolutely right. But then this is where some of the bias can come in. This is where you got to keep yourself in check. Because like in any research or any activity, we can measure things that align with our thoughts and our beliefs. We can ignore things that we're not simply because it doesn't align.
It's not convenient.
It's not convenient. That's right. It's like, reading a news article or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You can read the ones that support your view, and if you ignore the ones that don't support your view.
People believe what they want to believe.
That's right. But that goes back to internal confidence. And having that ability to say, you know what, I'm willing to take reality. I'm willing to listen to reality and accept reality and change as I need to.
Yeah. So, by the way, I want to just say to people, we're going to wrap this up in a minute. It's been really interesting. You may not agree with this, but there's a book out there called The Science of Belief by Bradley Charles Stubbs and Coach Whisperer. And I think it's a great book to look at when it comes to belief and the power of belief and the science of belief and the simplicity of beliefs and how belief can take you into strong places and confidence. And, I just see it too often. I'm sure you do, Pete, too. So many business owners just don't have any confidence. They don't know where they're heading. They've got no direction. They're in that stagnation or dying phase. And it only takes that little bit of a change to their mentality, that thing that we don't measure, their confidence, to create confidence, have a plan and go forward and be super successful.
There's
much.
So I've got two examples that we can use as, I guess, a bit of a final stories. Example number one, there's a town in New South Wales, Inverell, and a little town, nothing big, beautiful, beautiful place. If you want to visit a nice, regional town, go there. But there's a belief amongst some of the business owners there, and I did some mentoring work a couple of years back there. There's a belief amongst some of them that, we're just a regional town and we're moving backwards because everyone's moving to the coast and everyone's hopping online and buying things online and the online's destroying us, et cetera, et cetera. And as a result of this belief, their confidence in their business is so low. And you can see that is the thing that's holding them back. They're not seeing the opportunities that are sitting in their business, that are sitting in their regions.
They're just seeing the negatives.
Now, let's travel to regional Queensland. There's a little town called Dirranbandi. And Tanya and Russell out of Dirranbandi, I hope they don't mind me mentioning their names. They're phenomenal individuals. And said to Tanya the other day that, you do realize you're an entrepreneur. She's like, really? And so Tanya owns the cafe out there, Cafe 22. And despite the tiny little locations, just turned it into a very successful, her and Russell turned it into a very successful, profitable cafe. Now, the extraordinary thing about their story is that they've forgotten about the fact that they're in a tiny little town. And with their entrepreneurial mentality, they've now come up with this new business that I'm working with them on at the moment, a new startup. This new startup, Bruce, will become and has the potential of becoming a global success.
Yeah.
And it's a digital business, a digital platform coming out of a regional rural town in Queensland.
Does it?
And out of that exact same town, I've got another young guy, Nick, who's a goat farmer, who's decided, you know what, location, just because I'm a goat farmer, just because I'm in a small regional rural area, shouldn't stop me from becoming successful. And he's got a vision of changing his industry. And so as a result, he's also started another company, a startup that we're just about to launch, that is going to change the entire lifestyle industry nationally, coming out of a rural Queensland town.
Just showing the difference in beliefs in Inverell and Dirranbandi, those different people, and the confidence that they have in once they've
That's right.
read that.
And the thing between Inverell and Dirranbandi, it's almost like comparing Brisbane to Toowoomba or, Sydney to Toowoomba, in the sense that Toowoomba is much smaller than Sydney and Dirranbandi is much smaller than Inverell. But those in Toowoomba, those in Dirranbandi, they're not using that as an excuse. And so my point here is that we can use all these different things as excuses, but it all points back to one thing. It all goes back to the confidence and the belief in yourself, in your business, and your vision. And if you have the right beliefs, the right visions, doesn't matter what location you're in, doesn't matter the economy, you can still become successful.
That's right. They give you the energy and the motivation to do what you need to do to be successful.
Break through. And like you said before, the Uber guys, to break through, do things differently, challenge the norms, challenge perceptions. And out of that comes innovation.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that people have had a little think about their own level of confidence and what they believe and where that is and whether they're growing, stagnating or dying. And hopefully what we've spoken about today will stimulate them to take action and think about how they can grow their business and what little things they can do to change their beliefs and really move forward.
Absolutely. And I think, as soon as you finish watching this, listening to this podcast or video, take 5 minutes to pause and reflect on your business and ask the question of, am I stagnating? Am I growing? Am I dying? Be real with it. Look in the mirror. And then once you've identified what it is, if you're stagnating or dying in particular, then you need to identify why that is. And is it because of your confidence? Is it because of your lack of vision, your lack of passion, whatever it might be? And then you need to decide, okay, well, what do you want to do about it? If you want to keep that business, you got to get back on the growth path. How do you do that?
Exactly.
If you don't want to keep that business, that's fine. But then don't let it stagnate to the point where it dies. There's always an asset in a business and value you can get out of it.
Yeah.
You just need to understand how to leverage those assets so that at least you walk away with some cash.
Yeah.
Confidence, whatever.
That's the thing. We'll finish on this note. So you said something to me the other day and I've just forgotten about it. And it's such a basic thing. There's 3 ways you make money in a business, right? Do you remember what they are? You told me?
So most people, they have a salary.
Yeah.
Your weekly wage.
Yeah.
If you're in business and you generate profit, you can get your dividends out of your business.
That's 2.
Third way
that
a lot of people don't understand, and that's that unlocked potential. It's the cash that you unlock when you exit your business, when you sell that business. A lot of people miss out at that because they're not thinking long term. They haven't got the confidence into the business. They haven't got the confidence themselves to realize that's a pot of gold waiting to be mine.
Exactly.
But I have the confidence to work 4, 5, 6 year plan, to make it happen, to stick to the plan, to stick to my vision, to stick to my beliefs.
So I'm confident that what we've spoken about was good, and I believe that people will enjoy it. And I'm going to go off in 5 minutes and think about where I'm at with my business.
And I'm confident that you're right with that.
So thanks, Pete. That was
Thanks,
good.
Bruce.
Hope everyone enjoyed that. Cheers.
Cheers.